Hello.
I have to ask, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really, really great. Even with everything going on in the world, like you try to keep that light in you and just do your best to be better because I think it has an effect, a ripple effect for everyone else to keep seeing the light, keep being the light. So I feel very fortunate to be healthy, to be working, to be mentally stable in a time like this. I feel really grateful, especially coming from the retreat this past weekend.
Yes, you're gonna have to tell us all about it later on today. But I just
Yes.
wanted to, before we get started here, I just want to let you know every time I'm on Instagram and I get into this little rabbit hole and I see your post online, I just always feel so inspired to work out harder, to be better as a person and also as a trainer to the people who see me online and
Yes.
also my clients in front of me. So I just want to say thank you because every time I press your stories, I'm like, what kind of positivity am I getting today?
You
And
know,
it's always,
I
always positive.
appreciate that so much. It's so funny because, like, my husband is a videographer, photographer. He's very creative, more so than like I'm more of an artist, but he's more creative when it comes to content, media, technology. And he's always like, you gotta pick one thing, and like that's what you need to post. If you want your business to grow. And I realized not that is a bad thing, but I'm a master of none. I literally do a little bit of everything. And so my Instagram, sometimes you're like, are you a trainer? Because like I'll post my clients, I post workouts, but then I also think about, you know, would I be okay if I would hate it, but if Instagram like went away, would my life be okay outside of Instagram? And it would. Like I get clients through referrals. Like nobody really reaches out through DM, maybe once every 6 months. And I find like even myself, you get into a rabbit hole, especially I don't know how you as a man, like how that is with the fitness industry, but for females, it's very hard. Like you have girls doing sometimes they all look the same, and then you're like, well, how can I still stand out? Like I'm turning 39 next month, and I'm like I'm gonna grow out my whites, and things like that. And then you're like, wait, it's not wellness is not about appearance. So I try really hard to put positive things out, and I have bad days too. I'm human, but I think the more that we can keep sharing, faith, hope, light, um, I think it inspires people we don't even know that it's watching, right? Like, honestly, today I did not want to work out, and I saw that you woke up. I don't know what time you woke up to work out. I was like, yo, he's lifting so heavy. I think it's like 6 a.m. So the
I
same thing,
do work
like,
out
I
that
see your
early.
stuff. I'm just like, what? Here I am sitting here like, oh, I don't want to go. And so, like, I finished it real quick before we had the podcast, but I think it's so nice to see your friends. There's so much online, right? But when you see your friends kind of doing things, you're like, oh, I can do it too, or like, oh, I just need to shift my mind. It takes 2 seconds to shift your mind, and honestly, like, I'm so proud of you for starting your podcast because it's very scary to start something new. Because when you start something new in a business, it's really you're selling yourself, right? You're selling who you are, your values, and yeah, I don't know what this is like. What episode is this one?
This is episode 6.
Damn, that's great. And you just started. So I think it's really amazing to see that because it inspires me to keep doing more. Like I did one retreat, but I'm like, okay, what's next? How, where can I go? And I already have that idea, but it's inspiring to see your friends doing what we do because it's hard. It's hard being a trainer. You're not just a personal trainer. You do all these other things for your clients that, you might not get paid for or might not see behind closed doors, right? And then on top of that, you got to take care of yourself. It's like, ugh, it's a lot, And I just appreciate when people have good energy, work ethic, a great mind, and really it's just helping people out. So I feel like trainers don't get enough like appreciation for that. Like, yeah, we help people feel better and stuff, but people don't realize like we do a lot more, like than just
Yeah.
to look good or lift heavy. Like I don't know about you, but I'm sure your clients are. It's very personal when it comes to personal training, you know. And it's just
Y-
not like okay, eat this, lift this. It's like, how'd you sleep? How are you doing? Are you okay to train today? What is going on with your life that you're going to continue to keep being, putting yourself first and being positive in the gym and outside? Because I have a lot of clients who are stressed out with life and work and partners and all these things. And then when they come to the gym, they can't even focus on themselves. You get 1 hour. So I feel like I share all of my life and then who takes it wherever. And honestly, sometimes I don't even know if people see it because I get a little bit of comments here, you get a little bit likes there. You're like, does anybody see it? Then you're like, wait, one person has to see it. So then you continue to keep doing it because, like, that's nice what you said. Because sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, I'll just be posting to post. Maybe somebody sees it, but you just never know who it can change. Like, you could be having a bad day, but you saw something that made you smile, and then you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to change this perspective. So yeah,
I
that's
love everything you just. I'm gonna do my best to backtrack because I was trying my best to
sorry.
not
I was gonna say,
memorize and think about
yeah,
everything you just said.
my bad.
But wow, I let me backtrack a little.
Yeah.
So in the morning, yes, I work out around 6 a.m. now, and I posted on my Instagram today about me deadlifting, trap bar deadlifting, and
Mm,
exactly like what you said. I remember yesterday that you posted you deadlifting like
250.
200, 250. It seemed like 285 to me, and I just thought to myself how you said earlier, like I saw you working out online and you posted it, and normally I don't go that heavy anymore, but today, this morning, I was like, I'm going to see Chanta today, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap on an extra 50 pounds on this because if she can do
You
it,
did 275, right?
I'm I did 285.
285.
Yeah,
I can't do math.
285. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
I
but it's a
saw the number.
285, once you have the two plates on, everything else looks cool.
I agree. It's
Yeah,
so funny
but
because I think sometimes too, like, I compare, like, it's hard to not compare yourself. I've been a lot better over the past years, but you'll see other girls being so strong. You're like, damn, she's doing 315 already. Then I stop and think, like, wait, I just did 250 for 9 reps because we're like going to see how much we can do at a certain weight. And I'm like, that was pretty good. And then I look back at the video because I record all my workouts, and I look back and I'm like, form is great, breath is awesome, and there's no struggle there. So I know I can do more. But for now, this is where I'm at, and it's strong, and I have to remind myself that too, because I try to push myself and think about a number, but at the same time, effort is more important, you know what I mean? So when you put the effort in, the weight will come. If you want to do PR, whatever, it'll happen. But I just think it's being consistent of training and pushing yourself when you don't want to, or, vice versa.
I totally agree with the whole effort
Yeah.
conversation here because I even do my best now, especially with my clients. Like a situation yesterday, we had 15 pounds on each hand to do like a seated jump, and he said, "Oh, should we increase this? This is light." I was like, "No, I care about more of your effort. Like I
Yeah.
want a 10 out of 10 effort." Even with like 5 pound dumbbells, if you're in your
Yeah.
hands, if you wanted
I'm
to.
the same way too. Clients, they just want to jump so quickly. And I'm like, look, we want, let's see what you can do effort wise. It's like, well, we'll go up for sure. But I think
Right.
I have the same thing with my clients. She's so eager. I've only trained her 2 years now, and she's strong. And I told her, look, it took me 10 years to train like this. You're getting the best right now of me, best version of me, right? Like, I'm more educated, I'm more knowledgeable, I have more experience. Like, I'm cueing you and teaching you as this trainer at 10 years in, then I was 10 years ago. You would have took a long time to get where you're at. So just trust the process and know you just started and it's really phenomenal, but you got to trust the process.
Right. Yeah, I just now we can segue into this question that I just holding on dear tight to. And can you just tell us a little? I know your journey from being a personal trainer to now is probably this long. For people who are
Mm,
only listening to audio, I'm like my hands are very wide right now.
yeah,
But put this whole story from where you started to right now right into this length for us in this
yeah,
on this episode. Tell us how you started
hmm
and how you got to where you are today.
yeah. So I'll make it short as possible. It is like this long, but it is pretty short. It's straight to the point. Um, I actually came to New York to be a fashion designer. I basically fell in love with a guy who was a trainer at the time, and we dated for 2 years. He had cheated the whole time. When I found out, it was like heartbroken. I was heartbroken. I had to make a decision. Do I allow this person to treat me like this, or do I go over here and have no idea what's going to happen, but I will at least be by myself and like safer? So I made that decision, and I got into, I couldn't sleep at night. I would cry and stuff like that. So my girlfriend, she was working out a lot. So I said, can I just come to the gym with you? 6 a.m. at Crunch. She was getting ready for a bodybuilding show. So I said, okay. So 2 months, I saw how she was disciplined with her food. She was so laser sharp focus, and her body started changing within these 2 months. And mine changed too because I was consistent. Like I couldn't sleep at night. I was thinking about this guy, and I was just like, wow, I just literally changed myself by just going to the gym. So my gym became my therapy. Long story short, I got into bodybuilding. My first show, it took me 9 months, and my coach did it with me, and we won. We both won our categories, but I won first and overall in two categories. So that first show, I got 4 trophies. I was just like,
Oof.
what just happened?
Wow.
And then we got nationally qualified. I said, you know what? Might as well do it. This is my first year, but I'll just do it. But that gave me the self confidence, self empowerment that I needed to know that if I set my mind to something, I can do whatever I want. So, long story short, 2014 to 2019, I did 7 shows, 3 nationals. I didn't do well. I mean, I placed 16th, and the last one I just placed 11th, but I won first 3 times, I think. But it all was like different years, different experiences. But within that time, I would always shoot and do something, and I could make it happen. So, like, from being it was the first show being at Miami National Stage. I said to myself, everyone should feel this good about themselves. And even though I had lost, I knew I wanted to be a trainer. I said, you know what? I'm going to quit my career. I went to school for fashion design. I have a degree. I moved to New York for that. I was doing it for 5 years. But it became like cutthroat in fashion. So I was like, I need a change. And so I decided to become a trainer. And at the time, my friend was a manager at Crunch in Tribeca, and I was working out at the one on 38th Street. So it was perfect because I was like, I need a change of environment. I need to recreate myself. So 2015, end of 2014, I became a trainer at Crunch in Tribeca. And I told myself, this will be the career change. I'm going to help people feel better about themselves. And then I'm just going to hit the floor running. And literally from that year, I had been the number one trainer at Tribeca for 3 years straight. And then, you know, we could talk about corporate all day long, but corporate was
Yeah.
like too much. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
paid enough, and like they weren't appreciating what value I brought as a person. They saw me as a number, which I understand. You have numbers to hit and stuff like that, but I just knew I could do more on my own. So then that's when I left 2018 to be independent, and it's crazy because I know like you're not supposed to take your clients with you. And I literally didn't even ask my clients to come. I said, look, I'm just going to be here on Monday. Like, it was a gym down the block. And I was so lucky that 25 clients came with me. It's insane.
Wow.
I might have 14 of them left. Some come and go. Um, but that's how I became a trainer. And I just said, okay, I have to start over. I have to take my certifications. And it was hard because I didn't have that exercise background or science background, or the only background I had was what I did for myself for bodybuilding. And I knew I could make that mindset change. And I think people didn't really go into fitness with knowing like it's mostly your mind, right? Yes, eating healthy and sleeping better and less stress and food. But if you don't have the mental discipline or consistency to change or want to change, you're not going to change. So for me, that's what I did for myself. And I was like, I have to do this for other people. Like, when you're sad and don't feel good about yourself, it's like the worst feeling in the world.
Right.
Like I'm thankful I didn't go into depression, but at the same time, there were times I was very sad. I walked down the street coming back from the train. I was crying. I'm like, why am I crying? Like this was from the breakup, and it takes time. That was like my first breakup, but I had lost myself in that relationship. And when you lose yourself, like you don't really want to do anything. You don't want to live. You don't want to, but I didn't want to do that. So then I forced myself to go to the gym, and that really changed my life. So fitness changed me. And that's why I always, my name on Instagram is Shant's Boom Boom. But like, Shant's people call me nickname. But Boom Boom's really the sound of a heartbeat. It's just a reminder to always live your life with passion. So here I am always just trying my best to do my best, because I am human too. I am also learning throughout this whole process. I'm not perfect. I've been through all the things that bodybuilders go through. Like you probably know that body dysmorphia, eating, the relationship with food, and like, oh, if I don't have a 6 pack, I'm not in shape. It's like, but you have to go through those things to be like, now I train to feel good, to be strong, and live longer. So it's been a whole journey, but that's the shortcut of it.
Yeah. That. Oh man. I I'm just nodding my head the whole time because I can totally relate with everything
Yeah,
that you
I'm
said.
sure.
And it's just such an amazing journey how you went from, you know, this heartbreak that almost destroyed you to you rising like a phoenix and then now
I always
turning
said
your
that.
life around.
Literally, like a phoenix raising from the ashes, like rising from the ashes, because even like a lotus flower, it's something so beautiful, but it grows out of mud. Like you really have to be in, and people don't change until they're in pain. Like when people are like, oh, I have a bad back, like let's see what's going on, you know. And then like they want to go to the chiropractor, they want to go to PT, they want to do all these things to fix this pain, but they really won't change unless they're uncomfortable. So I feel like that's life. Like no one goes through life like, oh, sunshine and roses, but it's like anyone great that I've ever met has gone through some shit and really put themselves through a process of discomfort and even seeking more discomfort to be a better version of themselves. So like that heartbreak was the beginning, and I like appreciate that relationship so much, even though it was like pretty shitty of, of what happened. But at the same time, if it didn't happen, I would not be here, this person today.
Right.
I don't
And
know
it's
what I would.
how life is
Yeah,
happening not to you, but for you.
exactly. I
Yes.
absolutely agree.
Yeah. And I was just on a podcast the other day with Ashley, and we were talking about friction and how in times in our lives, there just has to, in order for change, there has to be friction.
It
And
has
before
to.
that friction, for you to fully accept it, there has to be some kind of major event, whether that's big or small, for you to, in order for you to just change. Right.
Agree.
And I'm so happy that you're sharing this story because I feel like a lot of people who might be listening today, or maybe even one person that might be listening today, may be dealing with a hard time in their life. And maybe, I can only speak for myself, but like you, the gym is what did it for me. Like I was in a very dark place when I was in high school, where a lot of self-doubt, low
Yeah,
self-esteem, and all this other stuff that was going on, and just simply working and improving on myself through fitness, through working out, it just
yeah.
solely made me focus on myself and made me become better. Yes, it is very hard, and it's a struggle to put your body through all these different highs and lows. But for people who's been working out this long, 10 years for me, I'm assuming it's like more than 10
10
years for
years.
you.
Me too. Yeah.
At the end, look, first, you got to do the damn thing. Then you
Yeah.
got to do it over and over and
Yeah.
over. But
And
just
it's,
know you
yeah.
will get there. You'll never arrive, but you'll always be on the journey of self-improvement. And I
Yeah.
think that let alone is just that's what I'm thinking when I was
I,
listening to you.
yeah. And even like you say, right? Like 10 years has gone by for us, like in this whole training and learning. And I feel like I'm just getting started for some reason. I feel like, okay, now I understand all the little details and basic things. Now I just got to stay consistent with that forever. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel, somebody who I love is Arnold. Like, I feel like just watching him, his documentary, and now reading his book halfway through it. But I feel like what he wants to leave like a legacy behind is like for people to just better themselves. It's not like you can be the best this and that, but like if you're not evolving as a person through this journey of whatever it is you want to do or be, then you're not really learning. Like even for me, like I didn't compete for the four plastic trophies. You know what I mean? Or like I did have the mindset of like, okay, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well and whatever I can do. And so every time I lost during the seven shows, if you see my documentary, Deshaun did a documentary on YouTube. It's 30 minutes, but I had won first place and then lost at on 11th at nationals. But I just knew I gave it my all, so I wasn't as heartbroken as someone who would lose because they just wanted to be number one and be on stage and then this and that. It was like I'm gonna give it my all and see what happens. If the judges didn't see that, I know that I put in the work. And only you can feel you can only respond the way you respond, right, to other people and choices and stuff like that. So I feel like just be proud of what you're going through, even especially the ups and downs.
Right. And your journey, it all makes sense to me now, hearing this whole story about why this retreat finally happened for you.
Yeah,
Because like you said, you've been through so many different things, you've so many different experiences, so many different trials and tribulations with people through their fitness, and becoming a trainer, as backtracking to what you said earlier, it's definitely a very hard task to do. I had a conversation last week, somebody saying like, oh, being a personal trainer is pretty easy. All you got to do is say these very intricate sentences and explain an exercise in a hard way, and you sound very smart, and then you just show it. And I said, yes, that's kind of true, but then there's also all these other things that personal trainers, at least effective personal trainers, have to do in order to make sure that you as a client
Yeah.
gets the results and the goals that you want, or generally just improving. And it just made me make a list about like the things that I do as a personal trainer that's not lifting. And also is the reason why this podcast is called Beyond the Exercise, because I personally think that personal trainers are effective personal trainers are
Yeah.
beyond the exercise. We
100.
don't just teach you how to lift weights. Like, sure, I agree, that's the bulk of our work,
That's the job.
but
Yeah.
but there's so much more stories behind it. Putting a different hat on every single hour, four,
Imagine,
five, six,
yeah.
7 times a day.
Imagine you have 8 clients in a day, 6, whatever. Different personality, different lifestyles, different like goals, and then it's like okay, and then you have your own shit back here, but you can't bring that into the gym. I always say like when I go into the gym, right when I walk onto that floor, I'm like on stage. I'm supposed to be their hype man. I'm supposed to be their coach or their nutritionist. I'm supposed to be all these things, but I may have stuff going on they don't need to know about, because they are paying for their time, and you have to show them that you're here for them, not to complain about the stuff that we have to do, you
Right.
know? So
But
it,
I understand, like there are times in training years, in training sessions, where you do have to kind of take a step back because life probably is a little too rough and
oh yeah,
sometimes you
for
need to
sure.
talk it out. But as Ashley said on the podcast that I had last week or a few days ago, it's like at the end of the day, sometimes we do have to put our personal trainer hat on and we have to push that aside. But I
Yeah,
do understand there's two sides of the stories.
yeah.
But yeah, going back to my thought about this, it's just personal trainers, it's just more than exercising. It's beyond the
I
exercise.
love it. It is.
And it's why I really admire you doing the Boom Boom experience. That was the
Mm-hmm.
retreat's name, right?
Yeah.
And just seeing that, I'm sure that, some people think it's easy to put a retreat together like that. It's get a venue, pay for the venue, hire somebody to cook the food,
Yeah.
makes people exercise,
It
work
it
out.
definitely could be easy, like in that sense, right? I'm very fortunate that I actually had, like I said, okay, I actually had this written down for Tulum, Mexico in 2019. I have a 5-day agenda. It's all ready, and that will probably be likely next year because COVID kind of happened, self doubt happened, and then I'm just like, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't really have a community. I'm a one-on-one training, so I don't do group classes. Um, am I good enough to teach, make an impact on people's lives? But I said, you know what? If I don't do this now, it's already like 2023. The idea came into 2019. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So this was a mistake. I realized it's like, I just put it out there. I had 7 weeks to plan it. People said they needed more time, like 5 months to decide if they want to retreat. But I said, you know what? For me, I'm very impulsive too, because if I want to do something, I'll do it, especially if I'm investing in myself. So the retreat took 7 weeks. Yes, it was very hard to find a house because you have to think about, do they have a kitchen? Do they have, a place to exercise? How many beds? Is it far from where you want it to be? I get car sick, so I'm like 45 minutes tops away from the city. And it literally was 45 minutes away.
Hmm.
And I wanted, like, to me, like you said, beyond exercise, I'm not known like to be like when people ask me, oh, what do you teach? And I'm like, I teach strength training, but like I'm not like the kettlebell person. I'm not this person. I'm like I can do it all. So I always say like I'm a master of none. Like I can get the job done. And my clientele like ranges from 30 to 82, so I can help everybody, which I think is very special. And I like that. I like older people. I feel like no, they need to train for longevity and not just like I need to look good for my vacation in 2 weeks. It's like it's ridiculous. Um, but the retreat, I wanted to go beyond exercise as well. I want training to be a part of it, but for me, as I get older, I wanted to do mind, body, and soul, meaning mindset, right? things that fuel your soul, and movement. And movement can be anything. So like the retreat, I was lucky to have them. I said to myself, okay, I have the money to be able to eat up if I don't have anybody come or whatever. But I was able to, I can share this with you because we literally evened out exactly, which I think is pretty much a success for your first retreat because everything went well. You got content, you made an impact, but you lost no money, which is fine because that's next time I know exactly what to do. This one I kind of just like, you know what? A house with water because I need people to be calm, right? A nice kitchen because I'm going to hire my chef who cooks. I need them to be nourished throughout this whole weekend. So I don't have to think about what to eat, when to eat. It's just like, okay, dinner's ready. The mindset part, I personally love journaling. So I've been journaling since I was 15. Like stupid stuff when you're young. You're like, oh, I like this boy, but he doesn't like me. You start really writing things that you're going through, but you don't realize until as you get older, you can reflect back on it and stuff like that. So for me, I still journal every day, morning and night. Not sometimes it's not most of the time, 90% of the time. Like some days I forget, but journal was a part of the retreat. So it was only Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, very short. So each day we woke up, we had a coffee, tea, things I like to do. And then we journaled, gratitude in the morning, reflection at night. And then there would be a movement. So I did one full body workout on Friday. Saturday, I wanted to do a flowability, which, we'll go into that. But I personally love coming out of like I wouldn't say, I don't know, career, but like my experience with bodybuilding, how much I put my body through. I wanted to lift heavier, but also be able to not be in pain. So mobility, my coach that I have now, we've been training for 3 years, but he really digged deeper with mobility for me, which I love. And then for me, as I get older, I want inner peace. So I can't meditate right now. I can't sit still. I'm like a little ADD, but I feel like
Hmm.
yoga is meditation for me because that is the only thing that you have to do to connect your breath with your mind and your body. So then I put the mobility and the yoga together and I created flowability, which I practice on my own. But this was the first time teaching it and let alone teach it to trainers. I was like, I hope they like it. It's going to be hard. It was kind of like that self doubt, but I was like, I feel good every time I do this. They're going to love it. And then for them, they really appreciate moving the body in a way where we didn't have to grunt. We didn't have to lift heavy because I think you can have both, like it really does help to be able to move freely and, have strong joints. So then you can lift heavy. So the retreat, everything just fell into place. Like all the things I ever wanted or worked on in the past 10 years to heal myself inside out, I packed it into retreat. Even there was some crying, which we didn't get that on film, of course, because we just wanted people to feel safe and express themselves. Traumas or pain that we've been dealing with, we haven't expressed. The girls got a chance to journal and then like share, which I felt so grateful that they felt comfortable to share with myself, but also with strangers. You know, and there was a lot of balance too. We had a bonfire on Saturday where we set things. There was like a crescent moon, which basically was for letting go. And I was like, how perfect. We wrote things that no longer served us. We went around that circle, read it, and then we burned them. And then like we made s'mores. So I wanted to teach girls like to be able to let go, detach from things that could hold you back from living your dream or doing whatever you want to do, but also know that there's a balance in life. So that's why I brought the s'mores in. Of course, dark chocolate, hue, I
Hmm.
love. But I wanted to have like wellness is not just a gym. Wellness is your mindset. It is the way you think about yourself. It's the way you treat yourself. And do you put yourself first? Because yeah, we do a lot for other people, but we forget about ourselves and we are not in a selfish way, but yes, the selfish way, but take care of you first if you want to take care of other people. So that was Boom Boom Retreat in a nutshell. Like I literally threw all that in there. And we also did something cool. It was my husband's idea. I wanted to do a love letter, like to have the girls write up the love letter. But we put them in a room, put the camera on. You probably would love this. And there was four or five questions, and they read it, and they're just speaking to themselves in the camera. So
Wow.
January 1st, we're going to send it to them and see if they kept their promise. So that I thought it was a nice little touch that we did, and I hope that this retreat really can continue in the future, different areas. So I would love to do one in Tulum since that was the first idea. A client said, well, I have a place in Italy that has 11 beds. I'm like, that's definitely one plan. So,
That's the
you know,
next year after.
yeah, so I want to do international ones, I want to do local ones. I even thought about doing 1 day ones where it's like a 2 hour retreat in the city. Maybe Sunday morning, you do like journaling, workout, snack. Maybe you don't have the money to invest in a weekend or you don't have the time to get away. But, 1 or 2 hours in the city on a Sunday to reset for the week or the month is, something I'm thinking about and planning. But I just want to do more than just, be a personal trainer. Like I want to
Yeah.
make a bigger impact because we think about how much longer can you do this for? One-on-one trading is great, but you tap out at a certain price, at a certain amount of people you take, and honestly, it's exhausting. Over the years, so you have to make passive incomes. You have to do other things, and I think being a personal trainer is really unique because I had the fashion background, so I made boom boom sweats. You can do so much. You're doing a podcast. You're doing people can do products, and I'll probably make journals. That's in the cards too, affirmation cards. There's so much that we can do. So
Yeah.
this retreat was just like a part of me growing in my business, but also as who I want to be in wellness. That was a long answer. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I will let it just ride. I would have just sit still for another 15 minutes if I had to. The boom
But
boom
yeah.
experience sounds so, I'm trying to think of a word, but all I
Mhm.
can think is a heartful.
Yeah.
It fills your heart in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And what I love about what you just said of how the boom boom experience all came together, about the radical self-reflection that you went
Yeah.
through and you've shared with people and
Yeah.
allowed people a space. I'm always talking about allowing people space, especially when you're like even a personal trainer. You're allowing people a safe space, a space to improve themselves. And it's
Yeah.
it's our job as a wellness coach, a personal trainer, is to allow a space for somebody to really grow
Yeah.
and put in the effort and the work that they want to, but they don't really know how to do themselves. So this boom boom experience, whoever is listening to on podcasts, on YouTube or whatever, wherever I post this, I think this is probably the number one retreat that you definitely need to visit sometime in your life, whether that's next year,
Yeah.
5 years from now, but sometime you
Yeah.
definitely do have to attend this because it's so jam packed with so many different things that
Yeah.
are beyond the exercise. And I'm sure that you grow this more and more. There will be a lot more different
Yeah.
experiences. But whatever you have right now, I aligned with so much because I think all of that, let's just not talk about exercise, is what a lot of people need. Whether or not you're into all of this woo woo stuff, this self reflection, this
Yeah.
self improvement
I know
stuff, like
people. Yeah, I agree.
don't bash on it, guys. It's honestly, it's something that I've been through for the past few years, and I can only speak for my own experience, but I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am today with self peace, with you know, self positive thoughts if it
Mhm.
wasn't for all of the things that the boom boom experience offers you. So
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree because you know, I think even Arnold said this. Like, why wouldn't you work out? He's like, that's just something I do, right? I feel like training or movement should be like brushing your teeth. Like you don't even think about it. You do it. You find what you love, become consistent with it. It affects everything in your life. But I'm becoming more spiritual, but in a way where I feel like I can say I'm happy, right? There's things I'm always improving in myself and, my household. And, I'm very lucky to be in a healthy relationship, financially, career, like all these things are doing well and it can always be better, which I'm striving for. But I think like if I didn't have that, like you said, self talk or self belief that I can do anything I want, then I would be in a different place, And I think it's so important to show people that training is so important and eating right and all these things are important. But if you have any traumas that you haven't healed, they're going to come up. They're going to come up in ways where it can self sabotage you. Like, and I always tell people when they're excited about bodybuilding, I'm like, well, why do you want to do it? Do you just want to look good? Because then you should just eat better and work out. You know what I mean? But bodybuilding is a whole mental game. And like, if you're already talking bad about yourself when no one's looking, when you like compare yourself constantly, maybe you have an eating disorder, you definitely don't want to go into something like that, you know? So I always tell people like, heal your traumas and you got to feel through those emotions. You can't just run away from them because they're going to catch up with you. You don't want to be 60 years old and regret about something that happened 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, as we're young now, go through those. And what I really love, I have a client, I recently just got her. She's a life coach, which I was like, wow, that's so cool. She's like a real life coach. And I said, look, I'm going into my retreat this weekend. What's one advice quote that you want to give me? Like, I need something, you know? And she says, I forget, I'll have to send you I think his name is Zig something. But the quote is like, it doesn't matter, your, the goal is not as important as the person you become doing that goal.
Mm,
So I felt like, yes, I launch a retreat, I have 5 people, everything's put in place. But the whole 7 weeks of kind of planning it, talking to myself about it, and finalizing everything, I really became this person of in the now. Like, I was like, okay, stop saying you're not enough or you don't have enough followers or whatever. Stop thinking that, oh, what if I don't sell out? Because I'm jumping into the future, jumping in the back. And I was like, wait a minute, you have 5 people, 5 people paid to come spend a weekend with you and trust you to make them feel good about their life and feel better and wealth. So I just took that and ran with just being present. And like I said, that was the where me I felt like my body was like, okay, I stepped back, love and light just came through me. And I just, the journal prompts were great. The food was great. The little touches I did, like even if you were at the house, you could smell, I had Palo Santo burning. I wanted things to be heart opening. The music I chose when they were journaling, heart opening. So when you said heartfelt, it was exactly that. I wanted it to be boom, boom. Like I really wanted to feel like, my heart is full. And I think we had such a good time. And even the girls, it was funny. I put in the email, no hard drugs, because I didn't know what people want to do and stuff like that. And I was joking, but at the same time, I was like, I wanted to be wellness. So, but we had this huge breakthrough where we were all journaling on the rooftop, sharing story by story. Everyone's crying, right? For releasing all this pain. And it was so beautiful. We all hugged. And then I said, okay, guys, dinner's in an hour. Just hang out, chill. And they're like, Chanta, we have a serious question. I'm like, yeah. Like they were so serious. Can we please get wine? I'm like, yes. We can get wine. I mean, I didn't bring it, but it was just so funny because now I can think about in the future, people like wine. Like it's something that feels comfortable for them. And it was perfect because it was the last day, Saturday night. We had filet mignon, as fancy protein as it can get. It
hmm
paired well with the wine, and we had such a good time. And we shared stories that I didn't have on the agenda. You know what I mean? Like life kind of happened with this retreat, and I really appreciate how I was just in the moment, and the girls really just, I think they felt really comfortable being themselves. We all got along. And then sometimes I've been in 2 retreats, 3 retreats in the past, and sometimes people can come and be so broken that they take all the energy of the other people. And I get it when people are really sad, and I understand that, but it's really hard when you're going to escape and people need more help than you do. It's really hard. So then you leave this retreat drained. And I think I'm very fortunate and I feel very lucky that the girls, I believe that they came out of this like rejuvenated, nourished, happier. We talked about things that they want to work on 2024, who they are now, what do they tell themselves when things get hard. And we have that all on camera, that love letter and the video. And so January 1st, they're going to get it and they'll see their face and if they kept that promise to themselves. So I feel like it was a great first one, even though I went over and beyond certain things I thought. But at the same time, I was like, it was perfect. It's just about right. The gift bag was out of control, but I was like, they loved it, you know, things like that. So I feel like I did a lot in a weekend, but I wouldn't change it at all. It was good.
This experience sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And for anybody who is interested in going, I think that this is only a female event at the
Well,
moment.
it was a female. I wanted to try a female one first because I think for me, from my story of being in a bad breakup and stuff, I think I was very like, I don't need a man or a person to make me happy. So I really want females to really understand how strong and powerful that can be when you have self love. But the more that I was, going through this and men had reached out, they wanted to come. So like Tulum will obviously be co-ed. You know, we're international, we're gonna have a good time. And I even thought about like we could have other retreats geared to couples. Because as I'm, you know, my husband and I will be married 6 years this year, but we see a lot of friends and couples, it's hard, the lack of communication, you know, it's hard being, you got to be yourself with someone else, but if someone else has not dealt with their traumas, it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? You can't be like, hey Manny, fill up my cup. You know what I mean? It's like you got to fill up your own cup. So I feel like, and then that's just an idea, a couples retreat, a co-ed retreat, you know, and then maybe I'll link up with another male trainer and do like you know, like it could be so much. So definitely the retreats will continue, but it could be open to a lot of people.
And do you have early bird signups for this? Because I'm putting my email on that right now.
Yes, I'm working on that because we're thinking like, oh, maybe we should do March for Tulum, and then, and we'll see. But I like the idea of Tulum because, you know, we went there for our honeymoon, so we made friends there. You know, and then every year after our honeymoon in 2019, we went once a year. But just the experience of the country itself, the food, and it's very, if you've ever been to Tulum, Mexico, it's very spiritual. So I mean, you know, ayahuasca and like, not that, I don't know if we'll do that, but like there's so many different things that people are spiritual about there that it gives you this vibe to really just more insightful, more mindful. It's just such a beautiful country in that way. We have friends that, you know, a couple, the husband owns a yacht club, and I'm like, this is a chance to give the guests a luxury day because maybe
Yeah.
I can't afford a yacht, you know, but if it's a group activity, we get to feel what that feels like, you know, and be on the water and stuff like that. And there's like the jungle gym, you know, I think you've heard of the jungle gym with
Yeah,
the
I've
gym
seen
with
it.
all the wood and stuff. We know the manager there. So it's, I think like it's a nice experience where it's just not training. It's like culture, travel, you know, get to know strangers, get to know yourself outside of your stressful life in the jungle, in the, you know, concrete jungle. It's like, let's get out of it and enjoy life. Because I think people are so, you know, stressed about looking a certain way, being a certain strength, all these things. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to enjoy your life. You know, like I'm just, yes, I love fitness. I really do. But sometimes it is so nice to not even think about fitness. Like, yeah, I do
Agreed.
my event and I carry on. I love to see this. I love to see the world. I love to eat different foods. I love to hang out with my friends. You know, those things really matter, but make training a part of your daily routine where it doesn't become a chore,
Right. It
you know?
is just 1 hour of your day. And even if you do train 7 days a week,
Yeah.
you have all the other hours that are not that seven that you're already
It
committed
literally
and
is one
dedicated to.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have
So
24 hours in a day. So it's crazy to
eight
think.
sleeping, one working
Yeah,
out. What
I
about the
saw
other
this,
times?
someone had posted, it was great. She said, if you spent as much time as you scrolled, you already would have worked out. You
Yeah.
know, because people scroll for hours and hours and hours, and you're like, I should have worked out. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I'm sure I've done it multiple times where I'm like, oh, I really want to work out, but I don't. It's like, oh wow, he's doing great. And like you go into this hypnosis of social media, and you're like, shit, now I have to go to work, or like I have to do this. Um, you know, but that's life. But you got to really like make sure you plan it out. So for me, I always have to like, you know, you and I are both so busy to schedule out things, and sometimes it really does help to block out those times like, oh, I didn't get a chance to eat my meal, put those in. I tell people all the time, like, you know, I train a lot of CEOs, and sometimes they let someone else do their schedule. I get it, they have an assistant, but at the same time it's like, put yourself first. Like maybe you put in a time where you block out for training, and then they can put the meetings in. But don't let it be like, oh, Chantha, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, they put a meeting here, I gotta go. It's like, block out your time, whether you need to physically see it on a calendar or set those boundaries. But I do that too. I always block out what I need to do. Like even
Wow.
Deshaun yesterday had a talk. I blocked out that time, you know, and then going into clients, food, whatever, exercise with my coach. I put that all that in first, and then I go in and do like, okay, clients, you know, lunch dates with friends, whatever is like kind of secondary in a sense, because I prioritize myself, my clients, and then like friends, meetings, whatever. Like you got to just do it. I do it every Sunday. I'm sure you do it too. Like every Sunday, set you up for the week. So then every day you're looking at your schedule, knowing, okay, this is what I have planned.
Yes.
You know?
I think the one thing that I look at the most is my Google Calendar. I just see
Yeah, I'm
things
like, what's next?
every dime to the minute. And what I love this, what you're saying as well, is just being very organized and being what I think is intentional. For people that I'm training right now, it's I always remind them, you blocked out this hour for you to train. Let's train. This is the time that you're putting aside that you could be doing a million other things. And as I've said before to other people, it's you're investing your time for the gym. Let's do gym stuff. And it's like you're putting yourself first, right? You could be doing a million other things, but you chose to be here.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you would have canceled, you would have stopped training. And one thing that I love, I'm going back again to my podcast with Ashley because there's so many very good informational things that I took away. But one of the biggest things I took away as well is when you're there, the intentions for training, it's, we're not, as personal trainers, we don't trick you to do personal training, to work out. You convince yourself that you need help to do the whole workout spiel, right? So
mm-hmm.
I think my message with everything about today is about the intention, the power of intention, the power of you've already committed to working out. You've already committed to going to the Boom Boom Experience retreat, and be intentional about it. You're there for a reason. You might as well make the most out of it. And it's all about putting in your best effort. You don't
Yeah,
have to be the one who's doing every single thing right. Because if everything's right, obviously there's something wrong that you're not paying attention to. So
yes.
that's what I truly believe. And this whole story about the Boom Boom Experience, I love everything. I could talk with you
I
for
know forever.
hours. But this is probably going to come down to this last question that I have for you. Exactly how you just went on your retreat, and I'm sure you learned so many different things about people and
Mm-hmm.
so many different things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to this past weekend of the Boom Boom retreat, what's the one piece of advice you took away from that retreat that you think a lot of people need to do in order to improve themselves beyond the exercise?
I honestly, like, literally, it's just to bet on yourself, to
Mm,
trust yourself that you're enough. Um, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be myself. I didn't, I didn't want to be more someone, like, I didn't want to pretend like, oh, I do these all the time. It's like, this is my first retreat, but I'm gonna enjoy it. But I have this agenda, but I'm also gonna be myself. And the more that I was myself and present, like, really just really be present, the effect that everything fell into place was just so beautiful. Like, I literally felt like I sat back, you know, I couldn't be on my like, my husband recorded everything, which is great. Then I would post it later, but I wasn't there just like recording every, like, because I wouldn't be present. And I felt like being present and being yourself really is truly, I think, the whole purpose of life, right? Like, there's only one Manny, there's only one Chantha. No one can be us, but we can inspire people to be their best selves, right? And I feel like me doing that really helped other people express themselves the way they want to express without feeling like, what does she think about me? It's like, no, they were just themselves. And I really, even the three girls that came and my client, which I know, right, for the past 2 years, all of the girls, I learned things about them I had no idea. And it was just because they felt so safe and comfortable to be themselves, because I didn't be anybody else but myself. So I think really, and it's harder because you can't help but like, is that okay? Like, do you think they're gonna like it? And it's like, yes, they're gonna love it, because I did this with my whole heart. Like, every detail I planned with passion. Everything was intentional. Even the flowability. What I did, I put tea tree oil on towels. So when they were in like the corpse pose, when you're just laying down after yoga, and you're just like, you breathe for a couple minutes. I came around. I had pulled intention cards for each person. I read the intention cards, and I put the cold towel on their forehead as their eyes were closed. And that little touch, they loved it. And to me, it was just like a nice little touch. I feel like kind of wraps up everything. So I feel like that's just me. I like, sometimes people are like, oh, why do you have to do that for? Like, that's too much. Or you're like too positive on Instagram, or you smile all the time. I was like, that is just me. Like, I'm not happy all the time, But I'm very grateful because I was sad at one point. I didn't like myself at one point. And now I love things about me. And if there's something I don't, I fix it. Like, sure, I want more muscles. I'm going to keep working out. I'm going to keep eating, different things like that. I want to grow in my business. Okay, who can I learn from? What educational course can I take? I'm going to continue to grow, but I'm going to continue to be myself. So I think for anyone who's listening or watching this, just really bet on yourself, because you'd be surprised once you accept yourself fully for everything you are in this present moment, and not what you were and not what you want to be. It's like, I'm here. Like, we're doing this podcast and we're having a great conversation, and it's gonna definitely set my, like, it made my day. I'm gonna work out better. I'm gonna be more present with my client. I'm gonna eat healthier because I feel so good in this moment. And I feel like people just need to do that. Really, just, it's hard, but be more present. That's the only way to live, is be present. Because in the future, you're causing anxiety. In the past, you're just worrying. So you don't want to be there. You just kind of want to be in the present.
Be in the present, bet on yourself, and enjoy
Yes.
the process. That's
Yes.
all of that
Exactly
I
that.
got from you. Wow.
That's
Well,
kind of like bodybuilding too, right? When you're
oh,
like in the grind, you're like, trust the process. You can do this. And yeah, bet on yourself, because you have to be your biggest cheerleader, because you got to push yourself when no one's watching, when you're not posting on Instagram. Like, did you really work out? Did you say the things that you're preaching? And one thing I learned too, my client had told me that she's in her 60s, very knowledgeable and wise. She's a holistic chiropractor, but she said that you have to make sure that what you teach is what you need the most. You have to learn those lessons. So for me, I was teaching self-love this whole weekend. And even though I'm getting better at it, it's something I need the most. And I realized that, and like for you too, you're saying beyond the exercise or podcast, what does that mean to you? Like, it's more than just a podcast, right? You want to make an impact. And for me, it's like, oh, I'm teaching people how to live better, and that it's like self-honor. Like, that's what I learned this weekend too. It's like, I'm teaching so much of this with passion. It's like, wait, I hype people up all the time. Like, if you see me, like, if a friend started her business, I'm like, I'm going to buy a massage from you. I literally will purchase whatever my friend is selling at their price, because I want them to succeed. Now it's my turn to turn all that energy towards me. So I think self-honor is really important. And that's something people really need to live by more. And I'm saying this out loud because I need to also do that as well.
right. Wow.
Sorry, I can go
That
on.
couldn't, no,
Yeah,
no, that couldn't have been a better
better.
ending
And
to this
yeah,
podcast.
it's exactly
And
like a now.
but anybody who's listening to this podcast and you felt the messages that Chantha shared with us today, if you're on Instagram, just pretty easy. Find us, Chantha Boom Boom, right?
Yep, bounce boom
And
boom. Yep.
then mine is Manny Fitness. I'm going to list it somewhere on this. But
Yeah,
if
for
any
sure.
of this messaging spoke to you and you want to just say hello, hi, give us a
Like,
little comment of
subscribe.
what, and thanks or
Yeah,
something like that, anything, we would highly
absolutely.
appreciate it. And we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know for sure that I did, and I learned so much. I
The
literally
questions
wrote
were
so
so
many
great.
different notes. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
questions were.
wrote,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you. I just flowed with it most of the time, most of it. And it's, I think before I end this episode, I love how you just allow people to open up their mind
yeah,
and open up their own thoughts and ideas and be very welcoming of it. And I think
yeah.
that's the one thing that I've learned from this episode. I almost feel like you're the podcast host here.
I just love to
But
talk. That's my.
yeah,
I'm like, I can
I
talk for
love it
4
so
hours.
much. But guys, we hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we really appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so
Peace.
much. We'll have to get coffee.
Yes, please.
All right. Have a great day.